The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
Mayor Michael Rothschild was one of the richest men in the world in the early 1800s. But in his day, because there was no internet, he was able to travel relatively easily, as very few people knew what he looked like. One week when he was traveling, he and his assistant ended up before Shabbos in a small town. He checked into a hotel, and in the afternoon, he went to the main shul for Mincha and Kabbalah Shabbos. He waited, and although the shul was full, they didn't start Mincha. Frustrated because Shkia was almost upon him, he asked someone, "Why aren't they starting Mincha?" And the person answered, "We're waiting for the Gvir, the wealthy one of the town, to come to shul." Mayor Anshel was greatly disturbed that a Gvir would demand that the shul wait for him to start davening, and he was doubly shocked when after Ma'ariv, people lined up to say Good Shabbos to the Gvir first, and only then to the Rav. The next morning, once again, shul did not start until the town Gvir had arrived, and he came very late. It seems he and his sons really ran that town. They demanded that people give their tzedakah money to the Gvir, and then he would give it out to whom he wanted to give it to. A rumor had it that the Gvir was fantastically wealthy, and everyone needed a favor from him, hence the tremendous effort to find favor in his eyes. Mayor Anshel knew a scam when he saw one, but couldn't figure out how to dislodge this conniving Gvir from the town. His midos were legendary, but in the end, he was left with only one choice. At Kriyas HaTorah Shabbos morning, Mayor Anshel got an aliyah. When it came time for him to make a pledge to the shul, he stunned the shul by saying he would give the town 10 times all of the Gvir's wealth once it's identified exactly what he's worth. And so the town asked the Gvir to put together his tax returns, which were not forthcoming, and soon it became abundantly clear that the Gvir really had nothing. He and his family had been living off the tzedakah they had forced people to give them. Mayor Anshel in his wisdom realized that no real Gvir would treat people so terribly, and that is the perfect mashal to our Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara makes himself look so powerful, but when we confront him, he's far from as powerful as we think he is. Today we are starting our first of 10 series on how to defeat our biggest enemy, the Yetzer Hara. There's a lot to say about our lifelong enemy. Today I want to share with you one thought. The first rule of the 10 rules of beating the Yetzer Hara is the Yetzer Hara's tactic is to make himself so strong in our eyes that he seems undefeatable, and it's the old word. If you think something is impossible to defeat, you won't even try to fight. The first step in defeating the Yetzer Hara is to take away the undefeatable aura he's created for himself. I'm not saying he's a lightweight, but one of his primary tactics is through smoke and mirrors to project himself as much stronger than he actually is. If we just change our outlook from being scared of him to realizing he's just a paid puppet who works for Hashem and there's nothing to fear, we will be taking a giant step in beating him.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org